Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Hello, welcome. Happy full moon energies. I'm gonna be moving at like a slowed down space for this recording for many multidimensional reasons. But I want to welcome all, whether this is your first time here or not. This is not your conventional channel. There is no one type of thing that happens here, although it might be symbolic in essence to certain kind of spiritualities and evolutions and those kind of things and esoteric style. I'm being brought back to the beginning. The beginning of even just like my YouTube channel, like for instance, we're gonna use that as an example. I've been working a lot, excuse my hoarseness, hold on. Excuse the crowdedness. I'm settling in. So yeah, what was I saying before? Yeah, some distractions. So it's a full moon anyways, and my animals are all cray right now, and you know, I just arrived not too long ago, so they're a little bit excited and simmering down, so you might hear a lot of noise in the background. I didn't tidy up the place to record. I wasn't planning on recording and felt really guided to come here, and it brought me back to the beginning, which is what I was talking about, right? And it was always poetry or expression. And I started thinking about that, like in an evolutionary standpoint aspect, like of of what are we all doing? What's happening here? And it brought me back to the beginning of the YouTube channel too, but it expanded other things for me to multidimensionally receive in multidimensional ways that are wonderful for my own personal development and evolution. But that's not about this. All right, throat chakra clearing. Okay. So what the fudge is happening? I think about my poetry and how natural it just comes for me to speak in prose, form, art, color. So if you're here, welcome. I'm not your average cup of tea. I make my own fucking matches of tea. And then late. It's always a channeled message, no? Is this not on television of some sort, of a box, of a contraption that we're all eager to now pose in front of? Once upon a time, I used to feel so alone in this space. Once upon a time, before there was social medias and things, I used to cover the TV at home, which was a box at the time. 80s baby all the way. Feeling as though I was watched in every kind of way. And I'm like, oh, that thing. But Spirit wanted me to engage. I wasn't granted any toys in any kind of way. In the same way that my peers, may have seemed privileged to receive. No. I had to sit in that space of a place and heal through my longing at such a young age to look at something that I too want to be a part of, right? Inclusion. Feeling excluded for things, right? Getting into the hyper focus moment of seeing the timeline of life having been experienced chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter. To be able to write your own summary of this chapter. Well, did you read the chapters, child? It's starting to now. I know it took me a long time, but I'm reading now. For real. Not just to get by. Not just to pass my exams and be all that I am. Conditioned to think. Intelligent as she. But is that free thought? The things of the inklings of the typecasting. Let's put this in and let's input this into the galactic go and let's build traction on some kind of action and let us see what develops over time. Everybody forget. Dementia starts young. We all think some kind of race. This is for fun. Life on the run. I must be on track. I could cry at the sentiment high that I have allowed myself to indulge in, to feel out of this world. Oh, how dare you escape? Well, what do you want me to do? Sit here and be bait in this hellish 3D perceived multidimensional reality that I am forced to see and engage with in a disengaged kind of way while everyone is all plucking away at something that they were given to distract. That's fact. Well, I didn't have any of that. I'm the privileged, poor, lack-minded, poverty-minded, lack thereof. You cannot achieve great things if you don't even know the vibration of that, of what it brings. For have you not learned, child, that the vibration that you spit within, it shall exude on out, and that's what this is all about. Forget your surroundings. What land did you be born into, dear? Do you have any choice, do you hear? Oh, they took away your mama, my dear. Oh, that's sad to hear. Deal. Feel. Oh, she's crazy for real. Oh, is intuition real? Out of this planet for real. And so, yeah, sorry. Dramatic in every kind of way. But I am not going to, I did apologize. I said I'm sorry, right? But I take that out. I'm not sorry. If you don't like it, cut the fuck off. Okay. This is the first time you're here and you're like, wow, I don't know what this is. There's manna in this. This is a healing, sacred space of a place, whether you believe that you receive these kind of things or don't think of life in this kind of multidimensional, transformational kind of way. And I don't think so anyways, because if you come across my channel, even if you come across me in life form 3D, there's something in it for you. Oh, yes, there's evolution in it for me too, but not the same as you. I know this now. I've always known this. I've been shown this. Oh, who are you? Thinking that you are better than me? No, bitch. No, I don't. That's your perception of your own reflection. I do detect that you have some ego insecurities of something that you need to seek healing from within your own infrastructure to even think in such a way that would be so combative in every kind of way that you self-sabotage in that kind of way. That's not about this. This is a freestyle babble I haven't done in a motherfucking long ass time. So for those that do come in for the ride, there is manna for your whole, whether you realize it or not. And I'm not going to sit here and convince you differently. Switch to one. Which brings me back to the beginning. Evolution. I'm a passionate soul. I get myself worked up. All for good expression. Brings me back to the beginning. For in the beginning, there was this void. Nothing. Stop. How can there be nothing if there's something? You mean nothing is something? I've always been something? I've never been nothing but nothing? Oh, ain't that something? Chew on that in whichever way you're going to chew on it and come back to it. Sit with it. Eat with it. Drink with it. Brush your teeth with it. It's already sinking into your own evolutionary development in whatever seed platform it's going to be infusing with. That is part of your own evolution, which will be different from somebody else. So don't expect your resonance to be the same resonance as your next door neighbor, even if y'all both like it or dislike it. Okay. Poetry was informed. Babble was on the stage. Spirit took away. And the human surrendered in a resisted kind of way. I was tough ass even in the beginning of my YouTube channel because I didn't want to be recording. People could say whatever they want. I don't give a shit. I fought spirit about recording on YouTube. I laugh now because it sounds silly, but this is a true story. I was like, I'm okay being a writer. I'm okay creating things and being my own silly self. Lone wolf. Popular loner. I like that terminology. I heard it, not that that's the first time I've heard it, but I recredit it back into my vocabulary. Hey, from her channel, Cosmic Daily, I think. But anyways, what was I saying? Right, vocabulary words that are being reused and revamped for the now time that we find ourselves in this shared multi-dimensional 3D space of reality that's on a meta system, right? Anyways, what was I saying? I don't even know. That's the beauty of all of this, because it is for our transformation and luck, right? Where was the saying that I was saying that I heard from her? Like, oh boy. I'm so glad that this happens, because it allows me to shift my own vibrations to that of a higher vibration than what I thought I was even possibly on from before. Because I'm really loving my forgetfulness, right? We all forget. I posted this meme on my stories on my Instagram at Enchantress. The one and only ENCHANTRES like Sam, S like Sam, Enchantress. At Enchantress. That's it. That's me. Yeah, Enchantress, and then see Babbler, you'll see. Anyways, I posted on the story, right? That story, the story. What was I saying? Oh yes, I posted on the story that sometimes I learn things or that I know things, but then I forget. It was an animal meme, but it was just really funny, and I thought it so applied to when I do these kind of things like this, because I haven't done one of these kind of videos in a while, where I'm just free flow, not with a specific, even though I never do a specific kind of thing, and I always free flow, it's unscripted, this whole entire thing. But like what this is coming up into for this video, it's more channeling than anything else, and I haven't done one of these intentionally in a long time, and it brought me back to the beginning with my poetry. I think my first video on YouTube, my introduction to my awkwardness, and when I started talking, it was just, I guess, like a poem, because back to the beginning, expression. There is always gems, hidden gems within everything. That's why if you do watch any of my videos, and all of my videos from beginning to end, wow. I'm so impressed with you. Can you let me know if you do that? Like, you actually watch from beginning to end, because you're a rare one. Like, seriously, because it is a lot. And I know that there's some of you, and I'm not like I'm knocking anybody else that doesn't watch it in wholes, or watches it in pieces, or watches it in parts and stuff like that. But part of, like, and this is just even me in accepting the healing manna that's in all of it, right? People say they have to come back to it, like they have to put it in parts, especially when my videos over an hour long, and that's a lot to deal with. Even me, when I have to play it back and I have to do the timestamps and stuff like that, and now that I can do these kind of things, I gotta go. I get time to listen. And when I do listen, and I'm listening and I'm receiving too, because the humans tapped in now doing the laborious part here on the 3D lines that I have to do to keep up my own maintenance of something that I want to do, right? So I want to do it, so I do it, right? Even if it's tedious, right? But to get it done, I have to do it, and period, the end, right? So you make time for the things that you want to do, and that's just that, like, right? And if you're not doing that, then you need to get hit with the program, right? And get to doing what you need to do so that you can get what you need done, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. So that's not even about that or whatever, but I did get brought back to the beginning. And so this is like a midstream channeling, like, because part of my journey too, like, if you do watch from the beginning till now and stuff like that, I started in like 2016, and like I said, I fought against spirit, right? That's what I say. Like, you'll learn from watching from beginning to now. This time, nothing, although content has evolved, changed, certain things have been spoken, not spoken. I start one thing and I do it for a little bit, and then I go and I move on to something else. Like, it's not consistent with the same kind of data, but through my journey, I'm not allowed to delete. So everything is there. Like, there's even videos there that I have no titles for because I had a lot of things going on. And also wanting to delete every video. And then it's like self-conscious, right? We gotta get comfortable in our uncomfortable. And so I wasn't allowed to delete. So during those times that I was recording in the beginning, I wasn't playing it back either, because that was my temptation island. Like, if I played back a video, I was tempted to delete, and I wasn't allowed to delete. So I just didn't play it back. And so sometimes I would just hit record and upload with, during those times I would share this information too, in those old videos, like from 2016, I think, or whatever. Uploading took like hours. So it would take sometimes days for certain videos to get even posted. I'm like, what the fudge? And so by the time it did get posted, I don't know what that was about. And I had no leveling of organization to even recall what that was all about. And a lot of those were a lot of channel messages, because like, even though I use cards and all this kind of stuff, like I don't need cards, and you know, it's not my target audience in that kind of sense. You know, I think about that. Like, even though I do some videos with cards and I have them in my hands, and you know, they're part time is the keeper to this earthly domain, which ties into the Akashic concept in every kind of way. Play that back if you have to, okay? But either way, like, time keeps for us data that is meta and knowledgeable, because knowledge is power, full information to know, and even more so empowering when you activate it through the application of applying the knowledge that you have learned into your own life in some kind of useful, prosperous, abundant kind of way that's beneficial to you based off of the knowledge you have received, right? It's like downloads, right? When you receive, like, you know, part of my journey is humanly computing that out loud, the processes that do take place, and be able to read it back to you, right? So part of my journey of even doing the recording, I couldn't even listen to any of the videos back because I was tempted to delete them. The spirit couldn't wait, right? When I speak spirit and you receive your spirit and you say whatever, and you're like, you don't know what it is. For me, spirit is just comfortable for me to say. But for me, when you dial up to the root of spirit, source, dial up connection, I'm going to deal with source energy, right? So, blah. Say whatever you want, right? Anyways, what was I saying? Oh my God, I got so much information, right? But going back to that, right? So you receive so much information, and so spirit can't wait for me to get to the point of my own evolution, of where I can tolerate myself and accept myself, right? In recording, and allow for the whatever to be shared, right? So that way I can get to this step of being an active participant during the channel, to be able to share the channeling experience and articulate it in a kind of words, right? So anyways, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on and so many different layerings of so many things and stuff like that. But it brings me back to this video. the inspiration behind it, right? With the thought processes that get our juices flowing. Be unapologetically you in all that you do, even if you have to stand alone. It's part of my story. I always felt like, and I'm not crying, and I have a lot of water fire in my chart, and I'm just an emotional, dramatic person in terms of expression, which is why I would make a great actress or stage performer, because I got a lot of dramaticness in me, right? A lot of personality. So, I don't know how to speak bland. I don't know how to speak bland. Yeah, I don't know. I was the friend growing up, and still even now, depending on where we're going, that I get pep talks before sometimes going to certain places. I don't know who's gonna be there, what kind of people are gonna be there, and blah 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 blah. I forget it the moment it's shared, bringing me back to what I was forgetting that I was saying about sorry, my animals. I'm not sorry, okay? We are all expressing ourselves. That's good. Maybe some of you have had some issues with your own expression. I understand that completely. I've allowed myself to be a shell, that's what I used to call it, a shell of my own existence, by suppressing so much of my expression. I didn't even know what was my voice. Still learning. That's why I get excited. Like, I heard the term, we gotta look for the positives and the negatives, right? Right. And it doesn't mean to be overly optimistic and brush off any kind of things that, are going on and things like that. Nobody's talking about that. But it is vital for your own peace and survival to choose for yourself how you are going to activate, period. Right? And so, hold on. So that's what you do. If you tend to receive a lot all at once, simultaneously, that could be overwhelming. I realize many people from many walks of life and many differing belief systems, many not spiritual either, right? But they have certain set routines, mindsets, and ways of doing things that become their own rituals, right, of experience. So if you take all these experiences and put things together and start matching the similarities, right, and crossing out all these things that make up that kind of energy of experience, you can figure out what's formula. But if you are a lot like where you receive a lot, pause and get a pen and paper and write down as much as you can gather, because that's what I did. I had to, because I'm receiving a lot, and I'm not a robot. And I'm starting to be easier on myself, because before I wasn't even accepting of that. I was not in my now moment. I was in my everything I missed moment from my download, why I couldn't receive it all, retain it all, get it all. Why do I have to learn certain things? Why does it take longer when I've received it all? Like, you know, the processing, the downloading, the imploding, the uploading, the evolution from the whole type of experience of all of it, right? So we're cutting things away that do not serve immediately upon recognition of that energy, no longer second guessing it, so to speak. That's something outside of the box. But if you hear, you're gonna receive a lot of outside of the boxes in different kind of ways, right? So what I was saying before about the meme about forgetting, right? There was an important point that I was trying to make, and I'm not gonna probably be able to get back into that storyline of frame. But the point, we all forget, get caught up in the cycle. That's what I wrote. We all forget and get caught up in the cycle. We all forget and get caught up in a cycle. We all forget and get caught up in a cycle. We all forget and get caught up in this cycle. So this is why. Okay. We all forget and get caught up in the cycle. It's like backsliding. Right? Water. Emotion. Bond. No, just like, illuminating wisdom, simple. That's what they want me to do. That's what they probably want you to do too in your state of evolution, because we are all pieces to the pie. That's what I was laughing about, and that's what warranted me starting this YouTube video for today. We are all pieces of the pie, contributing our piece of the pie. So what the fudge? Let everybody have their piece. That is their pie to make. But the meme about forgetting, right? And Spirit wants me to illuminate wisdom, simple. Right, sure, whatever. Ay, Dios mío. He's starting to come to do stuff sometimes, right? So it's just for psychology of understanding. You can be like, oh, see, that's the kind of energies I've dealt with growing up. When I start talking, people go, oh, oh. But that didn't stop me. Talk, I did. Write, I did. Express, I did. Always an outlet of expression. I have a lot of those kind of things in my chart. Dramatic. And then I have a lot of funny reserved signs in my chart, like in love, like Capricorn and Venus, like just makes every other element in me more the fudge awkward. On top of everything else. It's like awkward and weird combined. Had a baby. Whatever. Thank you. You're here. There is, if you watch from beginning to end, going back to that statement of sentiment that I was saying prior to that, before I forgot. Wow. You're a highly evolved soul. Welcome. Sure. So yeah, for the purposes of evolution, not other stuff. I had to reiterate that because there's other kind of people that watch. And either way, it's still mana for their whole. So welcome, beautiful, and accept the sacred healing that is percolating up the hill, whether you want it or not. And somebody like comment on one of my candle posts. I don't even know, but they commented like saying, how can a candle just burn, right? When, well, it's function pretty much, like just pretty much if its function is just literally to burn down, how can it change the molecular structure of like atoms and molecules and things around it, like, you know, burning it down its wick when it's just a candle, like, you know, just like it's just a candle. It's just a candle. Don't give such importance. Don't make a candle is so important. You know what I'm saying? You know, like mocking symbolism, mocking, like, you know, and again, I didn't want to project that, like, you know, how I'm receiving it. I want to like say something sarcastic or like whatever. The human, really, honestly, where I'm at right now, I didn't even, my first response wasn't even sarcasm, which, you know, surprises me because I do have sarcasm for days, like, you know, it's just embedded into my being. Like, I'm just a very sarcastic person, and I don't mean to be. It just is what it is, right? And so I wasn't going to respond, but I wanted to respond. Okay, but what am I going to respond? But since I didn't know what to respond, I didn't. And so I just let it go. And I wanted to read it again because just give yourself a moment to gather your thoughts, your mind, your energies, no matter what you're feeling on the outside. Remember, it's external from you. And gather yourself from within. Know that you are divinely led, guided, and protected. And that this too shall pass. Give yourself that moment. Recalibrate, regroup. We'll continue, right? So, what was I saying? I don't know, but I'm sure I'll come back to that one. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Give me a moment. So yeah, about the person that left a comment on, I think, like 2 of my posts, like just, you know, talking smack, you know, pretty much about like just questioning what I'm saying in my affirmation about this symbolic ritual that I did a video for, right? So first off, right, it's just like, one, I'm not here to make you believe anything beyond your own capabilities of wanting to believe. I'm not here to convince you, recruit you, or argue semantics about your right to see and perceive and understand in the way that you do. Sucks to be you. I'm entitled to that view too. And there can be some magic lit in you to feel it too. May whatever has broken you or made you feel disappointment or some kind of bitter seed of a taint of a stain in life May the evolution of love and healing bite into you with all its might, so that one day you can wake up to the magic that is everything, that is you, in all that you do, and never once dare question a symbolic gesture as lighting a candle with a power affirmation activation as to its validation of what it can do for you if you so dare to believe, receive, and achieve. But anyways, that's not what this is about either. So I responded though. I don't remember what I said. I'll probably delete it and respond again. Those things I'm allowed to do just because I wanted to send something and I did. But I don't remember what. Because I'm like I'm not even mad. I'm not annoyed either. It was entertaining. It's entertaining to know that I can sit here and hear your view and your mockery and not give two flying hoops. Thank you for even looking. Okay, let's get to cooking. Right, so back to the beginning. Right, back to the beginning. We are all pieces to the pie. Back to the beginning. And yet we all forget and get caught up in a cycle. Back to the beginning. Before we wanted validation, before we ever wanted to be accepted, before we needed that validation, acceptance, reciprocity, before all of that, what state of being were you in? In your state of nothingness, because we can all agree, no matter what our belief systems are, that this shit here started from nothing. When you think about the root of something, it came from nothing. What? Because even the something that thinks it is the one. Yet it's something. Exactly. It took me back to the beginning. Excuse me. I just moved in. And then I wasn't here for a good while. And now I'm back and I have a lot to attend to. So there's a lot of things going on. Nothing is where it will be or be seen, whatever. But there's a lot of things going on. Okay. It's a lot to take in. Take it into parts. I no longer take offense to this. I've even had people tell me, I listen to your videos and they help me to fall asleep. Okay. Okay. Back of my baby. That will come baby and you'll wake up after all. I don't know, but I just made that up. Anyway, right, so about forgetting. There's so much infinite. There's so much infinite. There's so much infinite. To get caught up and boxed in to one piece would be to choose one piece over infinite. Because even when you choose one piece, infinite shall always exist. In this multidimensional plane of existence, we each operate our levelings of consciousness, each individually, on whatever leveling of consciousness each of us are on. And that is different for everyone. If we can even just process that, that's such a profound, wow, level. All your need for fight, arguments, and being combative should really dissipate when you can see it from this individualistic perspective. And anything that goes against you, so to speak, is your opportunity to address it in a way that provides you with a solution that is transformative to your own revolution. Here comes the biggest issue. Say what? Here comes the big problem. What's the problem? Well, since you asked, we all receive a lot. And none knows nada. Nobody knows nothing. But everybody goes to somebody to learn something. And so then they learn that. And still in that, we know nothing. And many get lost in this kind of something. And they forget the everything. And just cycle the anew that has been programmed into. Okay? Now, hello, master alchemist that you are. Oh, see? A message in the bottom. Coming for you. We'll read the letter too. What you going to do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Mr. Young. Alright. Ooh, child. Interesting. Right? But okay. Back to the story. What's the problem? The problem is that me personally, I receive so many evolutionary things. There's so much. And me, I'm like, oh, I receive, right? And then I get, and then on the 3D, which I am tagged on, right? I'm here. I have to tend to it, my dear. So I receive, I do as much as I can in my receive, ah, beautiful, I live a spiritual life. But still, I must go out there and life be taking a bite. And then dependent on one's leveling of empathic evolution, of being able to discern external stimuli coming into your mix as sensitive and heightened sensitivities we have as heightened. You can give it as many names as you want, and I'm just going to name a few for vocabulary's sake. But please be infinite as you are, and knowing that even these qualities are just a piece of infinite quality that you know about at this moment now in time. And it doesn't mean it's the only one. Even if you think you've heard of every single one. I'm learning this now. I thought before, we all have to go through our crazy, get through the parts of ourselves that question our own sanity, the things that we receive, and the downloads that we receive, and the connections that we make in the spirit activity that really does take place. That, somebody coming in from the outside saying, how the hell, like with a candle, can you, talk about that when a candle is just a candle? Meanwhile, you bring in science into the mix and all this kind of stuff. But where's spirit? Where's soul? Where's that magic? Where's that hold, that bowl, that's energy transference, that stimulation, Where's that intuitiveness? Where's that psychicness? Where's all of that to apply to the dynamics of your one track mind, which you're entitled to? Don't come at me sideways, right? Because that's your limited version of life. Allow yourself to receive in a different kind of setting, but you got to be open to that leveling of evolution, you know what I mean? And so, not a lot of people are open to that kind of stuff, right? But depending on where you are and how open to your consciousness you are, that's where I lose a lot of people. Yeah. We each are individual pieces of a whole, and we each have something to contribute. Here's a piece of mine to contribute. Hey, for everyone at the same time. So often we lose or feel, I don't like to say we lose because there's nothing lost when nothing can be destroyed or eliminated once created, even if it has been transformed or transmuted or transferred, it still is born. As hard that is to grasp, especially when we come from a 3D plane of existence where we know death. And I'm no stranger to death, for I have been visited by death as a small child in the loss of my mom, which for me was my first early hit, and I already had been hit quite a lot up until that point. I was like, dang, son. Right? And so life on this 3D plane of existence, depending on the leveling of consciousness that we have on it, right? And our position in it, this is going to vary for everyone, right? Not everyone is working on transmuting their shadow sides, elements, conditioning, trauma, and all this kind of stuff, especially on their own. And granted, I can say on my own, but I can never say that I have never been catered to in my divine path by coming across the right people for me in my own personal development. And that showed itself in different avenues, different aspects, different teachers, different mentors, different psychiatrists, different guides, different angels, different whatever you want to call it, right? Like whatever you want to call it. However you want to call it. But we are infinite. Life is infinite. Death is infinite. Energy is infinite. Dimensions are infinite. I am infinite. You are infinite. We are infinite. I can't even grasp that. As much as I can extract that. The infinite is very deep into this abyss, or to speak on what we don't experience or see or perceive or understand, right? And so, what is the problem? The applied practice to the knowledge that is received, the activity of choice that needs to come from the vessel to make the choice to do whatever activations are required to do in order to activate the knowledge to its an act of consistency and discipline. And most lack that self-discipline from their conditioning, due to their conditioning. Not saying everyone, so don't take offense, but it's one of the most challenging aspects for all to fully surrender to, no matter where they are in their evolution, no matter what position, rank they hold. Like this, like that saying, different levels, different devils. For every level of evolution, there is a devil there in this human viewpoint, this human journey of a discovery of an experience. It gets peaceful and there's not always a devil, but there's always a devil, right? On this 3D plane of existence, because the story like took off and it's a popular story. In his story, you know? So we all forget because we get caught up in the cycle. So if you're here and you're listening, you got a lot of things in you that only you can extract. No more excuses as to why you're not extracting them. And just understand it from this conditioned perspective, that the reason why it's so easy, instead of being so hard on yourself, right? And start showing ourselves some love, compassion, and understanding to our conditioning, right? Understanding is for your inner harmony. Understanding is your inner understanding the outer. Overstanding is knowing your inner and now seeing the outer and no longer infusing the two, but instead now overstanding the situation because you have all sides of every single coin there played out for you to choose for yourself how are you going to alchemize, align, and understanding, overstanding. Right? Once you can understand what you want about anything, understand then the environment around you by tapping into what you see, what you know, what you are discerning from. And now with your understanding, what's your position about this understanding externally from you? And you take that knowledge, which is power. It's powerful to know your truth. That's why it's fucking powerful. No other reason except that it's my truth. And that's it. I'm not questioning it no more. I'm not second guessing myself anymore. I've come to understanding and I'm at peace with that. Right? And you can hold that. And there ain't a damn thing any external stimuli can do, say, or try to change that, shift that for you unless you allow, invite, keep cracks where healing would resolve those kind of things. This is not that, and that is not this. But either way, what I was saying, back to the beginning. Back to the beginning. Of what is all of this? Because I grew up where I didn't get a lot of the things that my peers had. And I'm not singing a sob story, I'm only explaining something. So like for instance, like I guess I'm 80s children, 90s kid, right? 80s, whatever. 80s and 90s I was already in school. Right? Um like when my friends had the game systems, that's like when they started to come out, I didn't have it. And the one game system that I did end up getting, I was like already like in high school, I think, or junior high school. I don't know. I got one game system, one game. I finished the game in one night, and they never got me any more games left. So I finished the game, and then they said that because I never played with it again after completing it the first night, that's why they never got it from me again. Like stuff like that, because I was way too slow. I was like, dude, I finished the game in one night. What do you want me to do? Get me another game. I didn't get that. So, and I had to do these like mental exercises and things that I did to transmute certain feelings that I knew I should not be feeling. You know, I should not be jealous. I should not be envious. I should not be longing for stuff that are not important. And and so I'm my own self entertainment, and I have tons of things that go on without things, right? And so I've learned to be cool with that too. You get it? So, but having that struggle is part of my conditioning that I had to learn to uncondition it. It's like lack-minded, poverty thinking, like, things like that that were drilled into my positioning here on these lands that I had to evolve from, right? Be the transformer seed that ends up there, right? Like, in your own genealogy pool or like whatever case, maybe. Even I sometimes take too long for myself, and then I lose again what I be saying, and that's just how it is. Like, it is what it is. What was I saying? Right. So, I get it now, and I'm not gonna go fully on there. Like, these are my own epiphanies. These are my own aha moments. These are my own evolutions. But we can see the cyclical patterns, especially when you see it in a cycle, in a pattern, whether it be yours or not, and you're just there as an observer. Like, wow, okay, so you're able to identify and like whatever the case may be. I say that a lot. Whatever the case may be, whatever the case may be, whatever the case may be, right? So whatever. Fluid emotion. So okay. Hi guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and staying here. I'm listening whenever you are listening. Um anyways, so like if we're not applying, so somebody says transmutation, someone says transformation, someone says shadow work. And those are like all like, all new age kind of terminologies and things like that. And I'm not saying it's all just new age, but I'm just saying there's a lot of like hoorah behind it right now, right? And oh This is a good time to start really fine-tuning and developing your own discipline with dialogue, your own dialogue. This is going to help you to really learn the language you speak, so that if there's any adjustments that need to be made, you very much well can make them. Okay, that's for whoever needs to hear that. That came also, right? Well, a lot of kids got distracted with a lot of things. And although I felt like I was missing out from those things as a small child, I had to learn to adapt to my environment. And so I read a lot, like, you know, aside from that, I'm not trying to, like, you know, whatever. But there was a lot of time spent, although on Earth and active, also. And there was always consciousness to it. And there was always connectivity to that which world I had grown accustomed to being in, right? And then life, right, takes over. Even to the most tapped in, sometimes life can take over. So it's like receiving an epiphany while you're driving in the car to work. And then you're having this awesome aha, great moment, right, of like, yes, kind of like kumbaya with yourself. So much was received in this download of a car ride or whatever the case may be before you park your car to get to your next destination. It involves other people, other responsibilities, other tasks, other things you have to do. And so much gets cycled back out of traction, filtration, infusion. Because at this moment of aha and all this stuff, this is where they would say, build the traction, build the momentum, take that aha and build with it more, create with it more, right? And stuff like that. So all I'm saying too is everyone's leveling of evolution is different here. And as they come in and file in, it's going to be here, it's timeless, right? Each of you are going to be different in your own leveling of evolution intellect. But there's no this is the bridge being created into not needing a fucking robot to tap into what's the processes of the things that are happening in our own mind or anything like that, except us being able to articulate it and get us back into our root of expression in every kind of way, which brings him back to the beginning, in our nothingness. In the nothingness of nothing, nothing wasn't craving acknowledgement or validation or to be seen. No. Nothing. Which was still something. Create something far, more. And it would make sense too, because the birth of creation to everything we now know. But what do we really knew from before? That's another story, right? No, nothing. Wanted something. And so nothing didn't say, look at me, something. Nothing didn't say, validate me, something. No. Nothing didn't say any of those things. Nothing wanted something. And so that's what I was talking about before when I lost what I was saying. Everything always has its way to make its way back. Right? Nothing wanted something. So here is where the humans forgot. Maybe they were never taught. Because when nothing turned into something, something turned into a lot of other somethings. And like, in order for nothing to get something, one thing had to take place. In the etheric realm of action, where something can take place. Something had to be born. What was born? Aside from desire and all those kind of things that would make something be born. What had to be activated? Expression. Communication. Dialogue. That's how nothing became something. With its expression. So what's going on in this world? Where everyone's seeking validation and acceptance. And to be heard, to be received, and to be seen. Brought me back to the beginning. I think my first social media platform was, what was it called? That's a lie. But it was one of my writer activators for writing in social media. It was a diary, live journal. But before that, there was AOL chat rooms and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't know. I had access to that at some point, but it wasn't mine. But intuition, right? Expression. So let's get back to the beginning of when you first originally desired something. What was your means to that something? Expression. What does it all mean? Oh my god, boys. Oh, your expression gets muffled, silenced, shuffled, cycled about with all the distractions. I'm so glad that in my perceived lack as a child, a lot of those addictions that were being fed into our environment at that time, I didn't really have access to. And so when a lot of kids are talking about shows at school on cable and Nickelodeon shows and all that, and I only have basic TV channels, and I felt left out. I mean, I haven't watched TV, like me, active participant in television for over 10 years. So by all means, I'm not missing TV. But it's interesting. I see the best of them out there. I really had to take a step back because my high empathic nature was being triggered, and I really needed to check myself. And I love doing things like that because it brings up my rhetoricals that I share on my social medias that I'm like, oh, she's so deep or this kind of stuff. But it starts with me. Right? So we're activating our applied knowledge. We're applying our knowledge by activating it in our expression. It's going to look different for everybody. And there's levels to that too. I think about like with my YouTube journey. I used to make yellow filters. I don't have a filter on now, guys. I have no makeup on either. This is me. I know I do a lot of sometimes filters on my Instagram and my TikTok and all this kind of stuff, but I don't need them. And I will go outside beautiful, and I will go outside a hot mess, and I will go outside mismatch, and I will go outside myself. And period. So yeah, so whatever. I'm beautiful. Right? My leg fell asleep. Give me a second. Hello. Okay, so for those of you that might be wondering why I'm a little bit lower in my voice is because it is 3 o'clock in the morning, my time. So it creates this sexy voice. But whatever. So it's late. So which is why I'm also like just at a slower pace, and I'm exhausted for my day already, but I'm good. I'm not exhausted, like, because if I was wiped out, I would be sleeping. I wouldn't be recording this. So that's good. But I will be going to sleep after this for a little bit, you know. But yeah. So back to what I was saying. So a lot of stuff I'm saying. So it's like, me too, like my own initiation into the esoteric started for me at a young age. I always reference the timestamp of my mom passing away for me because a lot had happened in my life leading up until that point. And then that was just icing on the cake. And so I have strong Scorpio on my chart too. Memory, in this lifetime, okay, I'm not talking multidimensionally, I'm not talking whatever, I'm talking in this lifetime, goes to early daycare, pamper stage, and all this kind of stuff, like way back, right? I have a birthday coming out. Yeah. So, anyways. Okay. So, thank you for your patience, as I babble through. Um, take it as you will. But it's all about our self-development right now and our own evolution with our own upkeep and maintenance and solutions that we create for ourselves, right? And getting in tune for real, with all of that, that brings me back to the beginning, which hopefully will bring you back to your beginning before what other people mattered, what other people thought mattered. And so sometimes that's gonna make you go all the way back, you know? And then when you get to go back after you travel through, which could be uncomfortable too, especially if you have a traumatic background too. I know. I had to re-travel places just to get it right. Right? Power activate affirm. Anytime I ever re-travel a moment or travel into a space of a moment that is not of my now space, that has been traumatic for me in any kind of other space, I know that I'm safe, I'm divinely led, guided, and protected in my now space that is no longer in that space. And so I revisit for my own healing, clarifications, and purposes. And I leave shortly thereafter, after I have received all the healing downloads that I am designed to receive in regards to this maybe traumatic incident that may have occurred or happened to me that I'm having a memory recall on right now, that is an opportunity for me to evolve healthily, wealthily, stealthily for myself in regards to this. Now it's being brought back up because I guess that's divine right. We become so offended. We get defensive. We become triggered And depending on your leveling of evolution, you can look at it as a good thing or a bad thing, or not have a feeling about any kind of thing and just look for the lesson in the thing so you can get the moving with the thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, this is a variety, different levels, different evolutions for us all, even if it's on a similar pattern, right? But if we can learn to be patient with ourselves so that we can give ourselves the opportunity of conscious thought and time to evaluate for ourselves our important moments that are coming up. And if we add value to that meal by giving ourselves the opportunity to absorb certain things that come into realization, right? Then we can create some leveling of more opportunistic energies in an environment of creation to allow ourselves to create a space where we can develop for ourselves something that we really want, as opposed to losing sight of our inner sight, because life cycles through, and because it's a dominating energy in our 3D land, it's easy to get swept away in the tsunami of dominance of neighboring energies dictating the dominating energy field that is so much easier to get sucked into. And before you know it, you're just forgetting a lot. That's what they call like that pineal gland, like calcification, decalcify your pineal gland, right? And awaken to the forgetfulness of your own damn nature. Right? So it brought me back to the beginning. Right? Because it's like, okay, right, we can't change the reality of something, change your perception of it, right? And see where you are in the perception. It's the only way that you can shift it, right? Is to address your perception about something. But go back to it's nothing. When I first started my YouTube channel, that was all spirit activity. It had nothing to do with any human on this planet. It was me and spirit. And a camera. Or the phone. And I had issues with those too. Okay. The same thing with my blog. When I started my blog, enchantingbabble.blogspot.com, I created Enchanting Babble, divinely led, guided, and protected, right? To have an outlet of expression, to be able to share my abuse story without revealing my abuse story. So I did a lot of cryptic poetry. But it wasn't for likes. It wasn't for validation. It wasn't for popularity. It wasn't to be seen. It was to have an outlet of expression that I was highlighting on a platform. And I guess if you break it down and go to the root of that, it's to be heard, to be seen, to receive, right? But first, that starts with me, right? In spirit. Right? So, it's a gift. A gift. A gift. A gift of wealth and expression, right? Putting to death something that was not serving my highest potential in order to protect my own lands of creativity, right? So it's just like reaching a certain age and realizing that the very thing that you've been doing since childhood, let's say doodling, I'm just using this as an example, is now, 40 years later, exactly now you know that the doodling was part of this purpose, for this purpose, serving this purpose, and it's all of your purpose, and it's your thing. Well, mind you, up until now, you've done 50 million other things in between. And you're like, now the doodling, you get what I mean? So it's like me with tarot cards, right? Like, it's funny because I was visiting my aunt, and we giggled a little because we were talking about, you know, my tarot readings and stuff like that, and you know, how many readings I do and I give, and you know, and mind you, it's not the thing I advertise the most. I really don't. I don't advertise a lot of these things. I take a lot of breaks from doing these kind of things because I have other things I do. So there are times that I'm not in service. You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's been like that for, I've been reading since I was at least 5. I'm about to be 40, right? And so, like 35 plus years. And I got my first tarot deck at 9 from my uncle because I was doing cartomancy before that, right? And I'm not just saying anything. And mind you, I was a very weird child. I was doing a lot more other things, communicating without cards. And I was a channel, an open channel that had many episodes of was not pleasant. I've been experienced that my mother used to help me through when I was little in regards to the downloads I received. I understand it better now as an adult. As a child, all I wanted to do is make it stop. And I know I've mentioned this a few times in some of my videos and things like that, but like I never go into detail, and I'm not doing that now either. But what I'm saying is, we've come a long way, right? And intuition, trusting that. Trusting is so much more in applying it to your own home, to your own domain, to your own foundation, to your own build up, to your own, even if it's slow, because like a home is on top of a turtle. So it's like, it's been a slow build up of your now. And sometimes things have to fall apart in order for it to fall together. Like, but like right now, like, right, if about the forgetting, there's a purpose to that too. Maybe you're not where you want to be, ideally. Address your forgetting. It's time to address what you are forgetting, because life gets in the way. And it's time to address it so that you can understand it. And then you can look at it abstractly from your understanding perspective and detach from that understand, because you're not going to emotionally attach to something that you have no business attaching to when you know your truth. So any other outside of a stance or a place or a position should not affect your truth, because you're in it. Right? And so and chances are, because you're here and you're listening, no matter when you are, where you are, wherever you are, these are timeless. You're creative. No matter what job title you have, or no matter what labeling system you have put yourself up under, you're creative. You're artsy-fartsy. You have a lot of ideas. There's more than one thing you can do. So where do you begin? Right? I like to do so many things. What's going on here? Well, we are in a labeling system categorized society, right? In this 3D perceived reality. So let's get to our understanding, since we can now see abstractly where we are under, because we're under a system. So it's best to understand your place in this system. So let's get real with that first, right? So because the energies external from us can be so dominating, it's easy to get swept up in the tsunami of what everybody else is paying attention to, instead of focusing on what you should be paying attention to. I started to purge social media because I had a dream. I'm not gonna bore you with the details of the dream, because my dreams, if you think my babbling is like pulling teeth, my dreams, especially when they loosen, especially when I'm traveling, and especially when I'm conscious to extract it all and stuff like that, it's just very weird. Like, it's just a lot of weird stuff. But and we don't need to go there. But anyway, and I started to purge it so I can understand the trigger by it. Because I don't typically like get involved with drama in the sense, even though I'm a dramatic, I always tell people like now, like I don't always tell, but now I understand myself better, so I get it, and I'm just like, whoa, you're not gonna point and put drama on me just because I'm a dramatic person. Don't bring drama my way and then get upset at my dramatic. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that, right? But right. What was I saying? I'm not kidding. Not kidding. Give me a second. Hi. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. It's coming. Thank you so much for your patience and for meeting me here in this space. What is happening? Evolution. Hello. Right? Granted. Bam. Boom. Bam. Bam. Boom. Bam. Boom. Bam. Boom. Bam. Boom. Bam. Boom. Bam. Boom. Right, and talks are coming from. Right. It's easy to get caught up in the environment. without being so conscious of it, especially when we're distracted by life and our own responsibilities in it and the things that we have to do. And so sometimes that can be like become the bitter cry of some too. And you're like, but when do I make time for me? When I gotta do all of this, you know what I mean? By the time I have time for me, I'm already exhausted, or something like that. Or, you know, an excuse gets put in the way, or whatever the case may be. Or like for me, I get a lot of epiphanies while driving. And so that was what inspired my earlier YouTube videos when I first started doing it, because it allowed me to forget the camera was there because I was focused on my driving. It allowed me to record and say what I needed to say without focusing that the camera was on me. So that helped my slow transformation into being comfortable being recorded and not getting too flamed up, right? I don't. Oh, I know. I'm so thankful for evolution, right, in that department. So, I'm not talking about that, but what I am talking about is raising your leveling of consciousness and awareness even further for you, wherever it is that you are on your journey, so that you can take these tokens of this manna of uplift that's going to be for you. But you got to process it too, you got to implement it too, you got to introspect on it too, you got to reflect upon it for yourself and take it how it will. Like, all of this can happen within under 5 seconds for one person's download. Like, you know, I receive massive amounts of information all instantaneously, like a computer file being uploaded into a computer system, like, well, not once, right? But the human must articulate it. That's where the challenges come in. It's like, in nothing in English. Right? So it's wherever you are on your evolutionary journey. It's great that you're on it. And anybody that meets with me, no matter what the reason may be, like, you're deep as the sea. Evolution's key to our mastery. So, hey, welcome, right? It's a lot of work, right? But always the next level up, or step through, or walk through the fire is when you face the fear that's being confronted at the time. Because in front of every challenge, we're met with a fear that we must go at head on. You roll, you fold, you evolve, you learn, you earn, or you just cycle through. So a lot of, like, you know, when people get like a little trigger whenever I talk about sleepers or the mudanes, I say, and that's not nice. Like, that's what I'm gonna reference them as. And it's not that I'm being insensitive, it's not that I'm being cold, it's not that I'm being name calling, it's not, it's my identification tag on this planet of what I identify as a mundane or a what was the word? A mundane or a human or whatever. A sleeper. I haven't used mundane in a while. Because I'm not there anymore. You know what I'm saying? But so would be those that serve no function. How can you say that? Because they're just cycling about their day to day, night to night, with no thought, no foresight. It's just a cycle of life. That's a mundane and that's a sleeper to me. And they function off of the energy that's dominating. Do they even think? It's a question mark. Okay. And so, yeah, there's a lot of those. Like, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of us. So, that's not you. No matter where you are on your journey, that's not you. Especially if you're articulating and understanding anything that I am saying here and that you're even here. That's not you. Yay! Sorry for my lack of enthusiasm as typically as hyper as I can typically be, but I'm chill right now. Ooh, right, winding down, right? So this is me in my chill groove, right? But what was I saying? So yeah, the point. Part of the dynamics of transmuting anything, I'm going to speak that kind of language. I don't like labels. I don't like definitions to things because we are infinite, right? That's the point I was making saying before. We are infinite. Everything's infinite. So even though there might be a box, a label to something, that does not make it, it doesn't make it definitive, but is that the word I'm looking for? It doesn't make it concrete. Doesn't make it the all to all, like the be all kind of thing. It doesn't make it anything but what it is. It's like if people could really understand what scientists do and the evolution of that too, and the understanding of the things that we think we understand up until this point, then we would know that even what scientists discover is not factual. It's just information being shared based off of the evolution of theorized thought that one was able to articulate in a question, right, that allowed for the investigation for the study to take place because the question was formed. Right? If you're ever in a conundrum or a stagnancy in regards to any kind of question, find a new way to ask your question, right? So that the answers will appear. Knock and the door shall open, ask and you shall receive, and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, I got sidetracked with that too. But what was I saying? I'm gonna name this. What was I saying? But yeah, okay, so yeah, what was I saying? So you're a conscious creator, right? That's what I was saying. That's not you. You're not a sleeper, and you're not a mundane. and if you're taking offense to me calling others that, then that must mean that you have sleepers and mundanes in your close vicinity that you are still pulling in. How's that going for you? Okay, so that's fine. It's totally fine. It's okay, right? The letting go process of accepting who's the mundane and the sleeper in our life, and then you learn to, with that it's not necessarily sleeper mundane, right? It's more like it's just my leveling of evolution and yours, and where I'm at now and where you are at now, and you're serving your own function, purpose, and evolution, and so am I, because we are each a piece of the whole. And so when I start like really activating that mindset of understanding, then I know that I'd start to take less and less personal offense to any kind of rejection, perceived insult, or like any kind of energy that I get outside of me that may not feel great towards me. Or how about for the hypersensitive folk that are conscious too, but they're still not leveling. You know how many like empath people that, and again, I don't like labelings and all this kind of stuff. Empath. This means you're an empath. I'm an empath then, okay? Just because you're an empath doesn't mean you have to take it in. Did you know that? Just because you're an empath doesn't mean just because you feel it that you have to feel it. Did you know that? And this is coming with strong Pisces in my chart. I cry. I feel. I feel that has been the billions of deaths in me because I feel. Okay? What was I saying? Right. Right. So awareness and consciousness is a dope tool to utilize every moment of consciousness thought that you have towards utilizing it, that you give it to yourself and allow for the development of that to take place. You know, let go of how long you give to something thinking that it's not good enough, and start focusing on the quality of time you give to something, because that will be your everything. I learned that through the practice of yoga, and making me now I teach freaking yoga in a way that I want to teach it. Because even in the development of the yoga, and when I was learning it and taking it in school and having to do all the different yoga parts, and I was doing my internship and stuff like that, with the Hudson Guild, like, anyways, when I was doing all of that, and I was studying and having class with other professors and teachers, and students, I was like, I don't see myself teaching yoga to like adults. I don't see this. I'm supposed to be doing this. Okay. Another skill I add under my belt. Okay. And now I get it. So these moments in time that I can reflect and call upon, and these moments of consciousness that was limiting to my infiniteness, possibilities, seeing it for what it is at this now missing moment in time that I have with my consciousness that is leveled up, to be able to understand a past moment from before in my now space that is everything that, wow, powerful, I need to breathe, see, eat, right? So it's just, you know, I've gotten told since junior high school, that's just too much. And I'm like, but if you want to, you do it. And in junior high school, I was a little bit more impulsive and blunt with my close friends because I was swearing by some of these things that I was doing, and I wanted them to try it and feel great too. But I didn't get the response system that I desired then either. You get what I'm saying? And so we can become so closed off, suppressed in our expression that when we grow accustomed to our conditioning and develop a habit, a lifestyle, a ritual, daily task, routine, and all these kind of things, it's much easier to not apply that in which we are intuitively guided on and receive all the time. You get what I mean? So like, it's like even before I became as much more disciplined as I am now, and still I'm not in the leveling of discipline that I would ideally desire to be. I have my moments too, you know what I'm saying? Like we all, there's different levels of moments. It was like I jumped onto this reader's page, and I give everybody love. I have no judgment to stuff, but I do understand a lot of people's developments with their own developments of like tarot readings and stuff like that. And by all means, I am not one to compare and contrast tarot reader to tarot reader to tarot reader and all this kind of stuff. We are each gifted, uplifted, and shifted. It's either you vibe or you don't in that kind of way, right? But I'm big on when I connect with you for whatever reason, whether it be through a third party, whether it's, you know, somebody I know and you know, we're making a connection and stuff like that. I'm very big on showing love, like, and support. I do it not for its reciprocity. I do it because I know what it feels like to not have it. And so I give it naturally because everyone should feel supported. That's just where I'm at. It doesn't necessarily mean that I personally needing or receiving, like, you know, I used to listen to, when I first started listening to tarot readings and stuff like that from other people and stuff like that, not every tarot reading I listened to applied to me. But that's not the reasons why I was listening. Yet there was always something for me. Right? Anyways. Where was I going with that? So, right. So there's this tarot reader. I jumped on this person's live. And I did they were doing for like one card, like $5 or something like that, like, you know, whatever. So, you know, I did it. And although there's always messages to be received, even if the message is not for you or in alignment to like what it is, there's always something in that milk and honey if you can extract it from in between the lines. Like, you know, I'm not trying to speak all like trippy and shit like that, but whatever. The card that she pulled was saying, okay, interpretation is another thing. And it's always going to be revelation to you, unless it's a channeled message. When the human speaks, the human speaks. And the human's going to calculate and determine and think for itself in the best capability of intellect that it is currently on to be able to think and articulate for itself. Channeling is flow. There's no thought to the flow of the rhythm that just goes. And there's no sense or sensibility. It's just fluid, you see, it's like water. There's no thought to what's being said, received, downloaded. It just is. And so it's spoken, right? Channel, right? I've learned the difference. And so this person pulled a card that after I made the application of the download that I received, I saw where it applied. But at first, when the card came, and I'm not hard on anybody, there's many tarot readers that I read, especially within the YouTube community, that I like. And when I registered with you guys, I'll show you nothing but love. I don't hide. I don't deny. I don't cock-a-block. If I feel you, I vibe you, you will know. If I'm not feeling you and I'm not vibing you and you don't know, I'm not secretly watching you. I'm not secretly doing something behind the scene. I'm not secretly nothing, which is not on the same wavelength vibe, and I'm busy at this time, and I don't always be watching YouTube. But when I do and I like, you'll know because you're here, and I don't hold that back. You get what I'm saying? So whatever. Anyways, yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. So that's interesting because a lot of y'all do. Y'all watch, y'all clock, y'all duck, and y'all don't acknowledge, which brings me back to the beginning. Saving grace, beginning. Where none of that was important. Why did I begin any of this? Why did you begin any of what? This, that, what, right? Anyways, okay, so this person interpreted the card from a negative standpoint and was like, ooh, what are you doing behind the scenes? Like mischievous or something. Something like that. I can't remember. Now I realize I'm sexy, creative, little cute beat. And I can look mischievous. But human and intuition, two different things. That was the human interpreting the card based off of their own perception, projection of how they perceive me, which was revealing to itself for me in regards to their interpretation of that. But, you know, I received my download of what it was, and then I said something in the thing to shift it. And so it shifted. I was conscious of that shift and why. Not because I was impressed and not because I got swept up in the hype. I saw it for what it was. It's not personal. It's not an attack. It's not anything. That's just, will I do it again? Probably not. Not my vibe. Right? So, catching those moments when there's a lot of commotion and distraction all around that can cause you to forget and not do. It's like when you have to transmute a certain stage of evolution within yourself that's not the healthiest. It's going to be different for everybody. Like if you are in a better state of being, but due to a traumatic history, you find yourself in your now state of being, bringing any of that trauma into your now state, right? Where it's not warranted. And that would be something that you would have to work through, right? Transmute, deal with, get through, handle, right? You gotta walk through the fire. You gotta identify the problem. You gotta call it out, bring it out. You gotta bring it to the surface, right? So that you can start your understanding journey with it. Doesn't mean that once you identify something immediately that you are going to be in the evolution of intellect to fully understand it. It still might be, because me, I've had many of those moments. I'm like, okay. I still don't get his spirit. But let me guess, divine right timing. I'll get it soon, right? And so here will be my life, right? But the whole point, I know I went into a babble. This is straight babble. I love it. I love it, which is why I do it. Going back to the beginning. Nothing wanted to be something. And it needed to figure out the mathematical equation in order to become something. And so it discovered its voice of expression, which is why we all start something out of nothing. So when did external validation and stimuli and others become the root of anything that we are expressing? I was talking to somebody that is talented. It's a musician, wonderfully talented, skilled, and wonderful, lacking the confidence in feeling that talent, success, abundance for themselves because they're comparing, contrasting other bands and groups and people to themselves, right? And not receiving the same response that, or the imagined response that they believe that they should receive, and so they put themselves down and don't hold themselves in such high regard because they're looking for this external validation. Which I understand it as a musician. If you want to be a famous musician, if you want to be on the radio, if you want to be whatever, you have to, I guess, have fans, and you have to have, like, you know. But again, that's all human coined terms and stuff like that. Position. But if you think about the root of your art, when you go back to when you were little, you just were singing. That was your expression, which is your art. And chances are, when you were singing, nobody needed to hear you. I know this. I was always singing. And nobody needed to hear me. I was singing. Because that was one of my forms of expression. When I was writing, that was one of my forms of expression. When I was reciting poetry, that was one of my forms. When I was acting, that was one of my forms of expression. When I was in chorus, that was one of my forms of expression. When I was playing sports, that was one of my forms of expression. When I was into martial arts, that was one of my forms of expression. One of my forms of expression. One of my forms of expression. Doesn't matter the outlet. One of my forms of expression that came from nothing into something. So where in the world have even I become so bothered by others' responses towards anything that I post or do on any of my social media? Where is this coming from? We all forget and get caught up in the cycle. Which brought me back to the beginning. Why do I do what I do when I do? Let's revisit our own personal timeline of facts that I can revisit now in my healthy state of mind and being, and know that I'm able to extract this Akashic life of record for me to use with it as I see fit, because I am divinely led, guided, and protected. And this is classical information here for me, embedded and etched into space and time. Ah, yes, it's Akashic rhyme. I can see in my mind space continuum all that has led me up to this point. Let me scale back. Let me understand my joint. I can see. Let me find my peace within my being so that I can walk these streets. I find that so many people are upset because other people have made them upset. When they have allowed themselves to become upset by what other people have done or not done to make them upset. But that's projection. Even if the other person made you upset. It's like being so accustomed to narcissistic relationships that when you get one that's not narcissistic, you self-sabotage. Why are you so nice to me? What are you doing? What are you up to? I don't like you being nice to me. Be mean. I'm gonna stab you. Right? And so you know, back to the beginning. Somehow, and it doesn't matter, we don't have to do the exact timeline or pinpoint, but we can at least start going to our earliest reference of accountability into a feeling or a moment in time that had taken place that may have caused us to feel a certain type of way, that went against our own personal systems, right? So it's like, my legs, right? Back to the beginning, expression from suppression. Somewhere along the lines, many of our expressions have become suppressed or just laying dormant, awaiting for us to activate it. But life can get into the driver's seat and dictate for many how they do what they do when they do. And then that's a conditioning cycle that gets played out because it's the dominating energy leading this perceived 3D reality. And if you're surrounding yourself around people that comply to the dominating energies all around you all the time, the fog can become thicker and thicker to see and not be able to tell the difference between your hand and your foot in front of your face. I'm gonna have to play this one back. Expect timestamps throughout time. I do it best a lot, like, you know, and I'm right now tending to a lot of stuff or whatever. I was planning on traveling again and I have decided against it for no other reason than I don't want to. And that's that. So yeah. For balance. Right. So stop further suppressing yourself with your harsh internal critic, because that's part of your conditioning too. To be so hard on yourself because you keep repeating the same pattern, or to be hard on yourself because you're not consistent with something, to be hard on yourself because you feel like you failed at something, to be hard on yourself because you're too busy focused on how others are perceiving you, that you're missing the lesson, the point, the message. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning of this challenge and identify its root energy. Its root energy. Once you can identify that root energy, you can travel furthermore down in time to when that energy began to surface itself in your conditioned life. Now you're safe in your travels because you're no longer in that space or the place, so there's no reason for you to get upset about having to revisit. The only reason why you're revisiting is because you want to close the fucking chapter or not. Like you want to close it or not. Like what the fuck? It's lingering on into your now present day because what the fuck? You haven't closed the fucking cycle with your consciousness and your awareness. To close something, it's a root. And it's not even to close it because there's nothing to close, because once something is created, it's created. It's to transform it, to transmute it, to understand it, to overstand it. Right? But, stop thinking you don't have time. 60 seconds is enough time to give yourself quality, consistent discipline in implementing something new into your atmosphere of life. Whether it be writing something down, meditating for 1 minute, breathing for 60 seconds, going into the bathroom, closing the door, sitting down for 60 seconds, and breathing in for those conscious 60 seconds, and doing a prayer, doing an affirmation, doing a mirror meditation, freaking washing your hands and being symbolic about that. Like, there's so many different things that you can do. The man that jumped onto my page, or it's a man, so maybe it was a guy, I don't even know, but talking that smack about the candle and stuff like that, like it is what it is. Everybody's entitled to their views, their perceptions, and stuff like that too. Like even me, like I got real clarification in regards to things, and when we use them symbolically in our practices and stuff like that, and things that we do, I had to learn my magic, my juju, my gifts by not trusting them, one, and not believing in them until much later. Yet they were always there, they were always active, they were always activating, they were always showing themselves to me, and they were always there telling me different. But because my environment fed me different, I didn't accept myself and what I was receiving, what I was knowing, what I was seeing, and didn't have the teaching, right? Self-initiate. Like, I've had some deep initiations into stuff that I have a guide with them on the other side. And then earth angels to fill in the gaps. Right? So we do what we do. And where we are in our belief system, no matter where we are, should be where we want to understand our current energy dynamics. So it's like that dude, right, that was talking crap about the candles. He clearly doesn't believe. He clearly has a closed mind. Unless he was just a troll at this time, just trying to stir the pot, right? Into what lighting a candle can do for one that believes or doesn't believe. But then you can argue and say, well, even though, because if you're not a non-believer, and let's say someone lights a candle and something comes into fruition, and they say, well, it was going to come into fruition anyways. The candle had nothing to do with it. Someone can argue that, right? And you can argue back and forth. You can do all those kind of things. I'm not. Because I'm in alignment with my truth with me. And this is the way I'm divinely led, guided, and protected. And this is what I feel colorfully, divinely guided to do. And until I see otherwise not to, I will do what I want. But that's because I'm solidified in my truth. Flash, rewind. So many years ago, when I was convinced at one stage in my life that everything that I was naturally inclined to do, tarot reading and all this kind of stuff, and then I needed to purge that. And so I had to get rid of everything, right? All my cards, all my books, anything spiritual that wasn't of God, Jesus, whatever, right? And accept this transformation, this change, right? And even when I was open to the mindset of the new set, you can't erase my history of all the experiences of life that has happened up until that point that goes beyond human explanation, right? And even going as far as studying psychology, trying to understand the psychosis in my own mind, saying, am I crazy at this time, or maybe just hallucinating, schizophrenic, so traumatized from my own childhood experiences that I am delusional, right? We gotta get into the psychosis of these minds, and then even having, going to see somebody that is a psychiatrist, okay, tell you that you are not crazy, and to have your whole what's supposed to be your shrink experience be their shrink experience, to really see your calling come out in an atmosphere that you never have imagined. Going back to the root of expression before it has been tainted with the laughter of validation, acknowledgement, and stuff, that the remedy becomes acknowledgement, validation from others in order to soothe and neglected soul from acknowledging itself. It'll take the kryptonite, others, which put you in that position to feel like that, right? For the experience to cause you to crave it. So I'm all fucked up, right? How does one get healed better from which the environment, in the same environment from which they came. We got a lot of downloads for that. It's not impossible because we're doing it in this realm. Think expansively, think infinitely, think continuum, multidimensional. Right, so I'm all about cognitive function and practical magic. It has to make sense to you, even when it doesn't make sense to you. Because something cannot make sense to you, but you still believe it. And so therefore it'll work for you. But then something cannot make sense to you, and yet you're still trying to make it work for you, and then it don't work for you. That's because it doesn't make sense to you, or you don't believe it. Permanent. What about permanence is scary? What about permanence? Back to this turtle and its home, because he was the turtle. It's home on its back, right? It's like every platform, every level you're on, there's something to go through if you so choose. Unless you become so complacent and stagnant and stuck, right? Where then you're either aware and going mad from being on this stuck wheel, or you're tapped out, sleeping mundane, and just cycling about, forgetting everything. So I find that it is most helpful to make better sense for myself every root that I am met with. Every challenge that I'm met with, there is a root. And so if I can just skip all the research and go directly, knock, and the door shall open to the questions that need to be asked from me, to me, in regards to this challenge here. So many get so caught up and swept away with having to know things that honestly are none of their business, even if it's been made to be their business. You want to understand yourself. That's the first place to start. Everything else will begin to make sense thereafter, but at its own divine space and time continuum that is going to be different for everyone in regards to whatever situation is being handled, dealt with, lived, experienced. gonna name this one. Go back to the beginning. To the pure state of form of you in whatever stage you're currently on. And start to understand your current position and how it makes you feel. Get to that root of that feeling. What is its opposite feeling? If you can get to the root of the feeling, look for its opposite. Because sometimes we do learn in contrast. And so, you know, you're never stuck unless you choose that. Don't get mad at me for saying that. You're entitled to be wherever you want to be. Being stuck, stagnant, and all this kind of stuff is a mindset of a position to be in. When you're ready to shift that, it will change. But in actuality, reality, you're never stuck. Even if you're a prisoner. In my state of being imprisoned by a psychopath, I evolved in an environment that made me sick. That's how I was able to move forward. Right? So, understanding what we are under. And figuring out what the fudge you want to do with it. All I know is any horrible feeling that I have ever experienced or had or I'm challenged by or triggered to go through, heal through, transmute, never feels good. And it's never pleasant. But if I wanted to go away, right? Which there's no real going away. It's just infusion, transfusion, transmutation, transformation, exchanges. These are transits that take place in every kind of multidimensional place of setting that has active molecules and atoms circulating. If you are in mourning, mourn. You have to go through the emotions, the stages. What other people have to say about the leveling of time that is needed by you to deal with your feelings at this time. But do know and note that whenever you are ready, this too shall pass. There is a solution. You are the resolution to that solution. And if you can't change the reality of something, you can always uplift your perception about it. And that too is a choice. And that requires you to be active in your deliberation to get yourself there. Others can help you there, sure. It's coaches, there's therapy. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So you can get yourself there too. Do you know what I'm saying? You're resilient. And that's all. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I didn't finish saying. Okay, so your visions. Hold on to your visions, your downloads, your epiphanies, your conversations with God, source, angels, ancestors. However, you connect. Don't get so caught up in the hype of having to do certain rituals and things too. I cried when I was a little girl because I was learning magic, things, knowledge, information, and I was too poor to have a tool. Spirit worked with me then, showing me I had every tool I needed. So you have every tool that you need. And if you don't, you have the power to create it for yourself. I'm not saying you have to make it, but you are powerful and can get it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Start going. So we are all pieces to the pie. So nobody's pie is wrong. Even if they don't taste good, that's their pie. Okay. A couple of years and then I'm gonna go. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. This is your moment to like my video, show some love. I will eventually timestamp this completely in some kind of evolutionary kind of way that I do what I do when I do. The ways for you and I to connect will be in the information description box below. So check that out. There's a master link there that connects you and I in every single multidimensional plane of existence that connects you and I together. I offer a lot of free content on many different platforms. You can follow me on Instagram too at Enchantress, ENCHANTRESS, enchantingbabble.blogspot.com, enchantressthebabbler.com, Utopian Mystique on Etsy, and the #1 Lovers Oracle book available for purchase and download on Amazon. The Dark Night Light of My Soul, Volume 1, Love Bites. Turn to any random page and there's a Lover's Oracle message for you. Mind, body, heart, and soul too, no matter where you are on your journey. Yeah, for the Oracle part, you would have to get the book part, not the download part. I know that a lot of people use the actual book for the turning to any random page kind of thing, for daily doses of inspiration. Right, all right, okay, okay. Container. Be intentional about what or who you wish to show up in the space you have provided. Set the energy for the endeavor up front. Hold space for spirit and trust. Undergrowth. More has been achieved than is visible to the eye. Right? The real magic is under the surface of your assumptions. Were we just talking about this? The situation is supported by invisible nourishment. Give thanks. Always give thanks, even if you don't know what the hell you're giving thanks about. This is the attitude of gratitude. Yeah, against the attitude of gratitude. If you're complaining, sad, sulking, or disappointed about something, you're not in the attitude of gratitude. So if you want to shift that real quick, get into the attitude of gratitude, have a go-to guide of like, wow, if some fuck shit happens right now in my life, what's my go-to method to get me out of that funky place? Right? Go-to guide, go-to question. Like for me, like my quick question is, what is my end result? Peace. Okay. And then after part. Okay, girl, be peaceful. Oh, will peace handle this situation? Perfect. Openness. Relax your striving and invite gentle curiosity. Be willing to see a new perspective. Don't overplan. Leave room for the magic to breathe. Beautiful. I love that. I leave room for you to breathe. So, sometimes you can be in the middle of an epiphany, a download, or something like that. Keep a little notebook handy. You can smartphones, right? Like you can literally, I hear people talk to text. You can type in your notes real quick something for you to get later. Set an alarm on your phone to go off at a time that you know that you're not going to be at work, you're not going to be whatever, to remind you to go back to these things. Okay? Evolve. Favor incremental changes over quantum leaps. What? Further maturation may be required to meet your goal. Celebrate your new self, honor any grief, and releasing the old. I cannot, I love it. I love it. It's just cute. Hey, beautiful. Right, so I'm looking at the amount of time. When I first started practicing yoga on my own for self-disciplinary reasons, I didn't last 30 seconds. I told everybody I did yoga on my own. 30 seconds. Yeah, for a little bit more than 30 seconds. Order. Find a drawer and organize it, literally or metaphorically. Take command and aim for your desired result. Find the right sequence. Be careful of perfectionism. Wow. All right, I'm going to pull a couple more, and then that's it. I'm tired. I need to sleep. Oh my God. Okay. Celebrate. Ooh. Take a moment to enjoy your accomplishments. Focus on successes for today. Fixing things can wait a bit. Appreciate creative comrades and show them your gratitude, integrity. Show consistency in your values and behaviors. A fall is inevitable. Sometimes land softly. Seek your own integration. Right? And sometimes you can feel prideful over integrity because your ego gets hurt. And unless you're not in a place of integrity, you're in a place of peace. So what do you want to accomplish? What is your goal of any kind of situation, especially dealing with outside people, outside of yourself, that you may have to find some resolution with? There's a mixed crowd. Allow. Be curious about any resistance. Commit to releasing any programs of not enough. Help is here and simply waiting for your yes. Right? So stop settling for less than you deserve in regards to people, places, and things. And even if you have to walk alone, you know? And if you're waiting for someone to give you the understanding you seek, understand something you seek or explain, this could be just for one person. It's time for your own reflection, okay? Take the time for deep thoughts. Notice the ripples you create. Softly mirror your truth to the world as you discover it. Right, releasing, discovering that there's more to life past your fear of the unknown. But you have to release that which does not serve. To be in thoughts, be people, places, things, right? But integrity. Show consistency in your values and behaviors. A fall is inevitable, sometimes not selfless. Seek your own integration. Right? Stop trying to make it work where it don't fit. Where it's not gonna work. Holding on to something that's not a value, substance, growth, evolution. You know when you're evolving and when you're on a certain kind of leveling of growth, especially if it's with another. You're both growing, it's showing, it's glowing, you know? Ritual, seek joy in repetition, explore the sacredness of the task at hand, be intentional with your time, right? Initiate. Just get started. A beginning only takes a moment. Assign yourself the title now. Choose to align with the joyful discovery that awaits you on the journey ahead. Initiate. Right? Vulnerability. How do you be vulnerable when you are woke? What does woke mean to you? For me, woke is being very conscious and aware of what's going on around me and giving myself the time to observe what I'm woke about, right? So why wouldn't I be able to be vulnerable? Well, because someone might take advantage. And then back to the same. But I'm woke. Then that means that I'm also conscious and aware of everything that has led up to my now experience, to know my past experience, to know that this does not tie into this now experience unless I make it so. And so am I on the pattern of repeating past behaviors, habits, conditioning, mindsets, and things like that into my now space? Or am I going to be vulnerable knowing that I am divinely light guided and protected and that I have the ability to discern through my own learning and ability to take a step back and decide for myself? And if I can't decide for myself, giving myself the time to seek the inner wise counsel or counsel that I might need in order to move forward in a healthy, wealthy, and stealthy kind of way, right? Take the first uncomfortable step. Don't wait for others. Tell someone how you feel. Be responsible as you do it. Look them in the eye when you tell them exactly how you feel. And don't move away. Don't say how you feel and then look away. Don't say how you feel angrily either. Find your own loving compassion towards yourself and speak in a loving note. How would you want someone to express it to you? Sort of thing. Lead others through the pulsing of your own open heart. Right? Chaos. Let things fall apart a bit to see the light between the cracks. Understand why you created the mess in the first place. If spontaneity is failing you, be willing to see a smoother way. One more and then I gotta go. Okay? Integrity. Show consistency in your values and behaviors. A fall is inevitable, sometimes land softly. Seek your own integration. So, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Yeah, I'm tired. What do we do when we do? Thank you for being here with me.